to one or two, sometimes three of them. That's been our experience, and that's perfectly normal. We have people who register for the conference who have to cancel out for health reasons or something else. That's part of the game. So today, we always have had a number of people who come, and I tell them they can come as they wish. We're happy to have them as standby speakers, because almost always they do get some time available. And that's what happened today. As I also have told you, we never have a shortage of speaker material. I feel extremely blessed with people telling me about and recommending to me speakers from all over the continent, and that's where these people come from. My best spies are yourselves. Of course, we attend other conferences ourselves, and always with the idea of scouting and seeking out other potential speakers. And that's where our speakers come from, as well as we like to have a variety of topics, so somebody will like at least one of them. I have said before that we pick 30 speakers. If we pick 30 speakers, 29 of them are very good. One is a turkey. It's your job to listen to all of them and figure out which one is the turkey. We also have said, and we repeat our policy, is that we don't shy away from controversy. And you know that I don't do that either, because I was arrested last June, and I'm supposed to go on trial on an unrelated charge. But it has to do with our work at this type of thing, I think. And if we have time, without boring you, I'll tell you a little about that before it's over here. I just don't want anybody to be surprised if they know or hear that I'm under indictment, because I am. And I have to take care of that in the best way possible, and I sure got some good ideas from Eustace Mullins yesterday. My first and emergency job to do when I get home is to file a motion to fire the lawyer. I have heard, and this is something you can perhaps utilize yourself, there is a sure way to tell if a lawyer is lying. Do you know what that is? You have to watch very carefully to see if his lips are moving. And your color people perhaps know this. Do you know what's black and brown and looks real good on a lawyer? It's a Doberman Pinscher, of course. Okay. Well, we hope you learned something here, and we hope you have fun at the same time. That's the whole idea. As Dr. Roy says, let's enjoy life as we go on, and I certainly have, and I certainly am privileged and blessed to know so many of you good people. My only regret at a thing like this is I don't get to meet and get acquainted with all of you, because I know with 250 of you out there, there's 250 very interesting stories, because all of you people are doing real good things. Now we're going to hear something that may be different than what you've heard in the past. And if you see, and if you look up here, you might think, oh no, not this again. And you might think, I know all about this. But I think for the at least 98% of you, you'll be hearing something different. We're going to hear something called, the topic of this presentation could be called Feeling Good. And is there any people who are opposed to that? If it feels good, somebody said, then you ought to go to the conference or something like that. Leon Hyatt comes to us from Dallas, Texas. And he graduated from Dayton Theological Seminary in Dayton, Ohio. And I just now noticed that. That's where I'm supposed to go on trial pretty soon. maybe he can say a good word for me there. But he's done an enormous amount of study in the area of music, of all things. He's done graduate studies in music at the University of Wisconsin, Northwestern University, and Evanston, Illinois, and Trinity College in Illinois. He took 2 years at the Carey Conservatory, if I pronounced that correct, Carey Conservatory of Music in Racine, Wisconsin, and he taught music for 17 years. And he's a director of music and organist for 20 years plus, and he's been involved with an organization and a product called Health Circulator since March of 1979. I think you'll find it different. I think you'll find it exciting. Oh, he also, I should say, has been a talk show host on a radio station in Dallas, and the title of that radio show was called Feeling Good. He's taught thousands of people about self-help techniques for good health on his TV show. It's a TV show. And he's going to talk to you about feeling good, getting rid of pain, and things like that. The next voice you hear will be Leon Hyatt. Bring him on with a warm welcome, please.
Thank you, Gene. Our program today is not going to be about the need for exercise. I think everybody knows that. But what we're going to try to do in the next few minutes is to show you all how to get the most efficient, effective, and enjoyable form of exercise ever developed. I hate exercise, and I always love to talk to people who don't like to exercise. Then we understand each other much, much better. How many push-ups have you done today?
None.
How many are you going to do today?
None.
Yeah, I'm going to be all right here. I joined band to get out of PE. First time a doctor asked me how much I ran, I told him I didn't run unless I was scared or hungry. Made him mad. And we took that premise and went right into one of the most successful television shows called Feeling Good for VistaVision Cable Network Company out of Denver. Time Life owned them. We impressed their program director with a program that we presented at a Kiwanis Club in Wichita Falls. They have a big production studio there. And when we began to introduce that program, they saw the format, liked it, and began to develop further and further until finally we were on the air at 7:30 p.m. for a half hour every other night. It put us into a prime time spot. We knew we were now exposed to the entire world, and our story better be good or it'll go off the air. And they ran it all year. That whole series was repeated by popular request, repeatedly over and over again. We were flattered, but it opened the doors for many people to invite us to speak. And I can tell you just this past 3.5 weeks, I have spoke to over 40 organizations, have made one television appearance for CBS in Dothan, Alabama, which is about 350 miles to the northwest from here. We did one pain relief clinic there in which we invited our listening and viewing audience to bring your pain and leave it. It's free. You can come, or you can get up and go. Doesn't cost you anything. If you think I'm a hoax, don't stay. If you've got pain and you want to feel it relieved in about 1 minute, we'll be glad to show you how it's done. And the reason that I was a success on that program is because the host of that program had lupus. And back just at Thanksgiving time, I told her that we could do what we said we could do. And she said, if you can stop pain in 1 minute, we've got a girl in our television station that has had back pain for over 3 months. And if you can stop her pain in 1 minute, you're booked. Well, I knew that the door was open, so I hung around Thanksgiving Day and looked at the motel walls until Monday came, and I went down there and did that. Then she jumped in with both feet and told me she had lupus and her hips were hurting her, and if I would help her, I would. And the cameraman jumped in, and we helped him. And we spent an hour and a half there stopping pain all around that television studio. We went on the air because of it. But I told her, not without me calling you a month before I come, or a week before I come, to make sure that it's still valid, that you still like it. If you don't, we'll blow it off, shake hands, and thank you. And as soon as I called her on the Monday before February the 12th, I said, hello, Ann. She said, Leon, you are coming Friday, aren't you? And I said, well, I wanted to check with you and see if it was still okay. How many of you have any pain here in this audience this morning? Back pain, leg pain? Dean, you hurt?
I have a back problem of sorts.
You notice that I don't diagnose, I don't prescribe, because I don't have a medical license. I'm not a doctor. I don't have anything to do with medicine. And since doctors do not study exercise and nutrition formally, you see, I'm very safe because I show the doctors how to stop hurting. I show hospitals how to stop hurting, and nursing homes and retirement centers. Would you all like to see Dean Stonier's back stop hurting in 1 minute? Would you like to see it? Would you like to feel it? Come up here once. I'll show you what I want you to do before you do it, okay? All I want him to do is just to stand here like this and bounce like this. Now, all of you are going to think this is too simple. It is simple. And if it's too simple for you and you're bored with this, then I don't know what to say to you. Because we're going to show you the simplest thing you've ever seen, something that occurs to all of you as babies. You're going to watch it transform Dean's back from pain to no pain in 1 minute. Watch it. All I'm going to do is just brush across his shoulders like Dr. Legay did it for me. You guys got this highfalutin equipment back here in the back that costs thousands of dollars that does the same thing. This is free. You can do it for yourself. You can stand there and just brush past him. Don't even touch him. It's like brushing your hair. Creates static electricity.
Brush my hair, will you please?
That's back when you had hair, Dean. Incidentally, this doesn't grow hair or cure senility. I have both of those problems. It's done nothing for me. When you brush across the shoulders like this, I'm holding the microphone with one hand. Usually I use both hands. It creates static electricity if you let your hands hang down normally, Dean. Let your hands just hang down. It'll start to create static electricity down in the tips of your fingers. Am I talking too close? What's that? No, let him hold it.
Okay. You wonder why we called this meeting?
You start to feel that tingling down the tips of your fingers a little bit here in your hand.
Yes, I do. Hate to admit it, but I do. The question was if I felt a tingling in my fingers. Yeah. Okay.
Now let me have this.
Okay.
If you'll step over there and sit down on that chair. And when he goes to get up out of this chair, when his muscles are pulled like this, if it's going to hurt, he's going to know it when he gets up. If it doesn't, he's the only one in this room that will know that it doesn't hurt. He's the authority. Get up on Dean and tell him about your back.
By standing up, I was supposed to feel something.
Did you feel it hurt?
No, didn't feel it hurt.
Feel better?
I feel so good. I feel like
Sit
what
down
they say.
again. Now get up once more. That didn't hurt when you got up.
No, got
You
up
like
okay. Yeah.
That's pretty good for free. Yeah, have a
Play
seat.
the violin now?
Yeah. There's your answer, ladies and gentlemen. That's the way it works, just like that. Now, I'll give you a little more simple information, and then I'll show you something else. This is something that I learned because doctors and chief physical therapists and people have shown it to me. I don't have this knowledge by myself. It's not written in any book. Yet what I'm going to tell you, most of you if not all of you, are absolute authorities on this. There's no research, no doctors, no clinical work. There's nothing ever been done on what I'm going to tell you. They don't need to, because it works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's their attitude. I'll show you something. Every living person in this room has seen this done or has had it done to you. If you take a baby that's squalling and bawling, making all kinds of racket, you all want to hear what's going on, and the mama's going to take that kid and just jiggle a tar out of that kid for only one reason. That's to get that kid to hush. Isn't that right? You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
Now, we've got an authority in the room. Let's ask him 2 more questions and see if you all don't agree with him. While you're taking that baby and jiggling that child on your knee, your heel is going up and down, but it doesn't quite touch the floor. That makes sense? Huh? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you start letting your heel bang on that floor, that child's going to either start bawling again or he's going to want to get off your knee, right? Do you know why?
Shock.
That's as good an answer as you can give, but it's just because the baby's not stupid. He won't let you do it to him. He doesn't know about shock, does he? He never heard the word before, did he? He doesn't know that, see? That child's defense mechanisms will tell him, you can't do that to me. Now, we talk about defense mechanisms. We're talking about one of the systems in your body of which you have about 13. That's why our program was a success. We took each one of them and we started to deal with them. The cardiovascular, we'll take a couple of minutes and show you how to lower high blood pressure at home. And you can do this and lower it about 10 to 15 points in about 3 weeks' time. And you can get off of the drugs. The side effects of the drugs for men is you can never have sex anymore the rest of your life. We have a subsidiary company. My daughter has just received a large order for bags to house a product made by a pharmaceutical company in Houston for men that can't get an erection. So now they've got doctors that will take care of the patients who take care of the doctors that have given them the side effects they can't get over. So we're pouring coal oil on the fire. We just keep on doctoring you to death. Whereas if you could get off the medication, get off the side effects, you could get back to normal. And we go into the pulmonary system for emphysema. And we get into all of the nervous system. But when you talk about the defense mechanisms in the body, you're talking about one of the major systems that unfortunately the doctors don't really know much about. I've sat and learned everything I can about it from the people who know the most about it, and they claim they don't know everything about it. We'll talk about it just a moment. The limbic system, L-I-M-B-I-C. Anybody ever heard of the limbic system? You've heard of the lymphatic. Have you heard of the limbic system? Are you a doctor, nurse, healthcare person? Yeah. What does the limbic system mean?
I don't know.
Oh, he doesn't know. Anybody know what the limbic system means? L-I-M-B-I-C. You got one. Some people used to tell me I had a proboscis sticking out, and I used to tell them I don't have one of those. They told me I had garments on my back, and I told them I didn't have any garments on me either. But a limbic system is a fibrous nerve system just below your cortex. It's a blocking device to keep you from going crazy. It only lets important messages through there. And if it's not important, it won't get through unless it's not healthy. Dr. Lyndon Smith, one of the best pediatricians in the country, told me a lot about it. Most people think of it as a twilight zone. They know how it works. They know what it's supposed to do, but they don't know why it does or why it doesn't work. Does that sound about right? They don't know why it works? Yeah. If you see a child with a spastic arm, he's not spastic here. It's up here in the motor controls that can't get through the limbic system. Want to know how it works? A woman can be sleeping in the back of a car, sound asleep, windows down, motors running, noises, horns honking, and she can hear a baby cry. And she's wide awake because that's an important message to her. A dog can sleep in front of a TV, kids running through the house and the TV is blaring, and let some hamburger meat smell flow past his nose. And he'll raise up and his ears will come up. That's food. It's an important message. We're going to show you something that we learned because the product that I'm going to show you, I didn't invent. What we're going to tell you how it works, that we just simply discovered. I thought this was a trampoline. Most of you in this room think it's a trampoline. To you, that's a trampoline, isn't it?
It looked like one, right?
Yeah. When I got a chance to talk to Dr. William Thornton down in Houston, he was one of the first medical doctors in the astronaut program that went up in the outer space program. I told him I wanted to talk to him about this trampoline. And he very politely reminded me that it was a gross motor control proprioceptor stimulator. I said, it's called a gross motor control proprioceptor stimulator. I said, that wasn't my first choice, but I'll go along with it. What's the deal? Well, one of the things that happen in a person as you get to be 50 or older is that you start to lose some of these little nerve reactors. They're called proprioceptors. And your ability to stand upright becomes more difficult, especially when you close your eyes and lose your ocular horizon. You don't see where level's at. The moment that occurs, then all of a sudden during prayer you start to weave back and forth. You got to hold on to a pew, or the other people down the road think you had something to drink last night. The pastor is standing up there just as still. He's not moving. He's got gray hair. He's holding on to the pulpit. He looks stone cold sober as a judge. The rest of you have got problems. Am I doing it wrong? Is this any better? Okay. I don't have a loud voice, so I usually have to have reinforcement to do this. Can you all hear me in the back there better now? Okay. When Dr. Thornton told me about this, I said, how does it work? And I'm going to show you under the cover how they're built, because this is not built like a trampoline. I brought one with you, and I'm going to show you what it does to you, not for you. If you look under the cover, you'll see that it has springs. But if you'll notice, they're attached to eyelets, and they pull at an angle to the center. The reason is so that right here in the very center, about 20-inch diameter, an astronaut can stand on here like this with one foot, and his foot moves to the left or to the right or forward or backward. And it would stimulate these nerve reactors to tell his motor controls where up is. If you stand on here with your eyes closed, 95% of you will just fall off. Don't even try it. But it will overcome that problem very quickly because they anticipated that as a possible problem in outer space 20 years ago. It was not a problem. They had spent $1 million in the development of this and tossed it out the window. And then it was picked up by an entrepreneurial firm. They didn't know what it was, and they've all gone out of business. And 8 years ago, we had to decide if we would go with them and die, or some of the things that we saw happening, would we stay with it? And that's the only reason we're the only company that have anything to do with it now. This is not even a trampoline. It's a fraud. But if you'll look at it and see how it's made, you'll see that it has straps. It pulls across the center. It was made originally by the George Neeson Company to sit like this so the cheerleaders could run along and do a cartwheel, somersault. The word trampoline means acrobatic tricks, spatial acrobatic tricks. The big ones, you did vertical tricks. This one was for horizontal tricks. Cut the legs off of it, sell it to the unknowing public, and now you've created a device that if you have arthritis or osteoporosis, you will wind up in the hospital in less than a month. Less than a week, actually. We want to show you one of those systems, how it works. If you have trauma shock in your body as a baby experiences when you bang a baby on the floor. Your body goes into trauma shock the same way his does. And if you don't think so, I'll show you what I mean. It only takes about 10 seconds, and you can see it happen. Would you be kind enough to put your papers down? Let me borrow you for just 10 seconds. This is the way the doctors and nurses have shown it to me. Would you step right over here? And if you'll put your fist right out in front, and I'm sure you all have already seen this done by other things, you press down here and test that shoulder, and he should be able to hold it. I'm going to put some pressure on it. Hold it tight. See, it's normal. Now then, if you will, step up on here and just jog for me 10 seconds. Watch his defense mechanism go to pot. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's good. Now step down. Put your fist back up. Double it up here. You can take one finger. Nothing you can do to hold it. See, it's gone. Now step up on here where it's soft like a bed and do the same thing for 10 seconds. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's good. Now step down. Put your fist up there. I'll put the full pressure back in the same place, and he should be able to hold it normally. See it? Let's give him a nice hand. Thank you. The first reaction I get from that is, how much did I pay him? It's a normal reaction, but your body will do that in 3 seconds. Let me borrow you. You got on bare feet? Come on up here. Let's see. Look, put your arm up there. Hold it up there. See, this is normal. Walk on your heels. Just pound your heels 3 or 4 times. Just step on your heels. That's good. Now put your fist up there. See, it's already gone at that point. Now step on your toes. This is the way track runners run. See, on their toes. Now put your fist up there. See, now it's normal. See it? Now step up on here and just bounce 3 times so you'll understand why hospitals hate them. Just bounce. 1, 2, 3. Step down. Put your fist up, double it up. Take your little finger. Nothing you can do to hold that. Now step up here. 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Step down. I'll go back and put the full pressure, and he should be able to hold it normally. Thank you. Okay? Let's give him a hand. Now, if you use this too much, and you say, how much is too much? My wife used it for nearly a half hour the first afternoon we got it. I thought it was dumb. I thought the salesperson whom we bought it from was not smart. I didn't like the company. I didn't like the trucker. I didn't like the expense. And I thought it was all dumb. And I reserved judgment on my wife because if it hadn't been for her judgment, she might not have married me, and I didn't want to knock that. She and my daughter giggled and laughed, and the next morning she couldn't get up out of bed. I had to help her up. Her eyelids were sore. And then the first thing she said when she got out of bed is, honey, you ought to use this. It'd be good for you. She put it right between me and the shower, so I'd have to use it. And I did for the next 3 weeks, about like this, to make sure I didn't overdo it. I didn't like anything about it. She finally got mad at me, put the arm on me one day pretty hard, and I said, I'll think about it. I waited till she got out of sight because I don't want to admit she's smarter than I am. And I stood here like this. I didn't want to overdo it. I did it like this for about 3 minutes. Some people ask me, is that all you do? And my answer to that is that too much? In about 3 minutes, I was totally wide awake. Now, many of you jump out of bed running, singing hallelujah down the halls. I hate you. I don't wake up that way. I crawl out of bed slowly and take my time making sure that I'm still here. I go to the bathroom so I don't flood the joint, and then I get on here and I stand here about 3 minutes to reclaim my body. As many times as I've spoken the last month, coming in at 11 and getting up at 5 and 4:30 in the morning, I have to do something like this because I'm 61, I'm not young anymore. I think I'm young. I act like I'm young. I hope I look young, but I still know I'm an old fart. I have to get up and do something to keep me going. And the reason that this works is because it takes off on your lymphatic system. You will get a little brochure at the close of the program that'll tell you about your lymph system. If it doesn't function daily, you will die. I'll just tell you a little bit about it so you can get a grasp of how simple it is. I like the previous doctor's presentation. If it works, it's right. Bees like honey. Animals don't drink mother's milk. All these things are very practical. Your lymphatic system has 3 times as much fluid in your body as you have blood. You got a pump to move those 10 pints of blood, but nothing to move that lymph fluid unless you move. There's a separate venous system in your body attached to your kidneys. All of that lymph fluid comes out of the blood through the muscles, draws out all of the toxins and poisons, the dead cells and things that you cannot use, and as a result, these little valves, which are shaped like this, open and close, and as you walk and move, they start to work. And it starts to move that fluid from your toes and fingers up through your spleen, through your kidney, and dump through your bladder. If you walk about 10 minutes around the block, you will get enough activity in your body that by the time you're home, you'll be wide awake, and you'll be wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, and you'll be pleasant to deal with. I discovered that by standing here 3 minutes, it bounces 133 times a minute. I didn't know the formula for it, didn't learn it until last summer, but I am a musician. I do have a metronome, and I set it between 132 and 134, and it goes tick, 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 and I'm smart enough to figure that out, and I got 400 cycles in 3 minutes. How critical is it? If it doesn't occur to a baby before birth, daily, that child will be born stillborn. Is it essential for you to have movement? Yes. I used to tell my TV audiences, you've got to have movement if you're going to metabolize your food. You do it for babies instantly after you feed them. If you don't, they'll puke on you. You've got to do it. And yet you all, and I don't think there's any of you that are so innocent you don't know what I'm going to say, because I'm going to tell you if you eat a pizza at 9:30 at night, at 2:30 in the morning, it's still going to be there, unless you get up on a bed and turn on Johnny Carson or something and bounce up and down for about 10 minutes so that it will metabolize and go down. You see, I kept doing this because it didn't hurt. It's 24 times less shock than walking, 50 times less than running. So running, well, we run to get aerobics. Anybody know what the word aerobics mean? What does aerobics mean? Air. Yeah, it's a Greek word, air. That's all it is. Anaerobic is lack of air. It's the basis for some 2,000 degenerative diseases for which we have no cure and will not have a cure simply because drugs and surgery, doping it and cutting it off, doesn't solve the problem. Get some air into your system. And when you stand on here, we have laboratory studies and can provide them for any of you doubters. $60,000 worth of study showing that if you do this for 5 minutes, you get 21% aerobic effect compared to that same patient doing 5 minutes on a treadmill, the standard of the medical industry. Why? Perhaps it's because of the absence of shock that you got as a baby. Babies have the perfect answer. I kept using this because it woke me up. My back was killing me. I had been going to a medical doctor over a year, spent over $5,000, and in 3 weeks my back was well. I never went back to see Dr. Benedict except to sell him one for his bad back. He had back problems. But what got me into this business of talking to people was the fact that I lost 2 pounds of weight a week. My doctor kept telling me that my 53 pounds hanging out in the front of me, some of you call it Dunlop's disease, Some of you call it furniture disease when your chest is falling into your drawers. I've heard it called everything. But my doctor used to tell me I was 7 months pregnant and I ought to get a name for her to get rid of it, and I paid for that little piece of advice. And then every week, 2 pounds. I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't really care. It was my belly. You don't talk about other people's fat to their face. If you get fat, people talk about you behind your back. George stopped smoking. Did you notice that he's getting big as a barn? But when you lose weight, they come right to your face. They hate you. Hyatt, have you been sick? That's what I used to hear. You haven't been sick? Have you been on a diet? And then they get very religious and look you in the eyes and say, you're a damn liar. And I heard that more times than I wanted to hear, and so I just backed off. I wouldn't talk to him. And the fellow that was really pounding me happened to have been a New York cop, formerly. They have a certain mindset. You do not ever tell them a statement, it's none of your business. If you don't think so, try it out here on the interstate when he asks you for your license. Try it. That's what I was faced with, and he came and talked to Edith. That's how I got involved. 53 pounds in 7 months doing something this simple. If you've seen Justin Wilson, the Cajun storyteller, the cook, PBS, you notice he's getting trim. He used to be a big fat slob. He's lost 81 pounds using this. We have people all over the country that have used these simply because we tell you that if it doesn't do what we say it'll do, don't keep it. Give it back to us. It's guaranteed. We've got over 12,000 people that have refused to return them. We tell you some simple things on tape because we figure that when everything else fails, read the instructions. It tells you, start off and use this no more than 2 minutes. Why? So you won't get sore. When you're bouncing like this and you're not used to it, the back of your leg or back of your calf will start pulling. Gently, but you'll feel it. What do? Rock your knees 4 times like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that stops it immediately. If you got a Charlie horse, that's what you do. If you suffer from Charlie horses, you don't ever have Charlie horses again. If you have insomnia, can't sleep, what do you do for a baby? You rock him. Use this 2 minutes before you go to bed tonight. You'll sleep. If you don't have this, go downstairs and go to your motel room and get up on the bed. That's what I used to tell my TV audiences. Get up on your bed. Your mother don't live with you anymore. Get up on your bed. And you can do this. It will stop a headache in about 1 minute. If you have a migraine, it takes 1 minute here, and about 15 minutes later, it'll dissipate. Tell that to a doctor, and you'll peel him right off the wall because he's never seen anything that will stop a headache, a migraine, in 15 minutes. If you do it regularly, you don't have migraines anymore. How do I know? I've never had a migraine. But we have hundreds of people who do, and they keep telling us we don't suffer migraines anymore. That's the only way I know. If you have diabetes, the limbic system, through gentle stimulation, just as you do for a baby, produces norepinephrine. It affects the pancreas and the thymus. Doing this in the morning, 10 to 15 minutes, and in the evening, you can lower insulin requirements to 0. And the company I work for guarantees that in writing. You won't get that from a doctor, from a hospital, from a drugstore, or virtually anybody. We have no game to play. We run the risk for 37 days. If you don't feel better, don't keep it. You can do this at home, and if you travel a lot, put it in your car. It only weighs 18 pounds. Don't leave home without it. Put it in your motel. You don't have to run around a strange neighborhood and be afraid of getting raped unless you want to. That's up to you. But you can do this in your bedroom. Nobody has to know. If you want to go skiing, you get down in this position. And if you're going to go skiing, you add the jumping to it. If you don't want to go skiing, you're arthritic and you're crippled and you can't do it, just bend your knees. That's how long you'll do it before it starts to hurt. Stand up straight and it quits. Keep doing it. And in 3 weeks, you can get up and down out of chairs and go up and down stairs. And you can feel good again. If you're an invalid, You can't use it. I've got just a couple of minutes, and I'll show you a lazy man's exercise. That ought to get the rest of you. My back, which was hurting so bad, is because the vertebrae press the nerves. The astronauts, when they go up into outer space, all become 2 inches taller. When they come back to Earth, they come back to normal. When you lie down, they fill up, and when you get up in the morning, you're taller than you are at night. These are things we know. But by the end of the day, these muscles become weak, and they press those nerves, and you're hollering, oh, my aching back. Your baby gets it this way. All of these muscles are moving. That's why you don't overdo this to start with. The only penalty for overdoing it is to get sore. If you get on there the third day and you start going like this and you're just giving it all you got for a half hour and you can't get up the next morning because you're sore, you'll realize you overdid it and you'll forgive yourself. Jimmy Swaggart can do it. You can do it. It's no problem. But you start off gently and build up. This movement gives you 133 little miniature push-ups on every muscle in your body. Would you be kind enough to stand right here and put your finger on that muscle right there? I'm going to move about the equivalent of a baby. He should feel that muscle flexing and moving when I start to move. Feel that?
For sure.
Put your finger right there in that tendon right there.
Mm-hmm.
Put your finger on this bone, on that muscle right there.
Yep.
Squeeze that one. That little one on the side of my wrist there. It goes right out to your fingertips. Feel it?
Yeah.
Stay right there just a second. Let me borrow your chair. Would you hold his papers for him? Thank you. When we get into a hospital or nursing home or retirement center, and we're dealing with people who are paraplegic, quadriplegic, invalids that don't want to exercise, grouches, and for those of you, would you step right over here on this side? For those of you that are so lazy, you don't want to do nothing. You get yourself something to drink, get yourself a TV control, and you can't get it any lazier than this. How's that, huh? Put your finger right there. You feel that?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'll give you your chair back. If you do that for a half hour, tomorrow you won't get up out of bed. It's just like riding a horse. It'll make you sore all over your body. You'll be so sore you can't stand it. Now, I'm going to wrap it up by telling you this. I'm going to put these back there so you don't crowd up here because Dean's going to get after you and start giving you announcements. I want you to walk across these so that nobody can swindle you. So you can feel the difference. Walk around on them so you can see there's no center. This is the only device a blind person can use because he can feel that center. He doesn't care where he's at because he can feel it. He sees it in his own way. He can do what he wants to do safely. You don't have to go through contortions trying to figure out what's happening. Your body tells you. Rectangular units have soft corners. Blind people go off of them. These, they can't find center. Plus, it's so hard, it causes compaction to the joints. If you've got arthritis or if you have any pain, after a bunch of you have walked across it, I'll give you some literature. And if you got pain, I'm in room 335, and I'll take you one at a time, and I'll help every one of you that I can stop hurting in about 1 minute. And I may help some of you back there if there's time and we don't make too much noise. Otherwise, we'll get out of here and leave you all to do what you're going to do. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer it for you very briefly. Otherwise, I'll put these back there, and I've got literature for you, and you can take it home and read about it. Yes, ma'am. The cost, she asked, how much are they? The cost of them is probably the most least important thing there is, but I'll tell you because you put it to me blunt. They're $229.95. It has a 30-day money-back guarantee. It has a 2-year guarantee on the equipment. There's no one else that makes them in the country except our little bitty tiny company in Dallas. If you want to order it later, you can. The 800 number, you can order it by UPS. You pay the extra freight. If you order it here at the show, I'll be glad to honor the freight for you to save you some money if you're interested. You can order it by credit card. You can order it by check, gold teeth, watches, whatever. If I can help you feel good, we'll help you feel good. Thank you all for having me present this program. Feeling good.
Okay.